For decades, this bridge has been a problem. It's the Brent Spence Bridge that connects Cincinnati, Ohio and Covington, Kentucky. And for decades, countless politicians have claimed they're going to build a new bridge.
Behind us stands the Brent Spence Bridge.
I've already heard about the bridge. I love the area. We're going to get it fixed.
Talking is over. The bipartisan infrastructure law, we're finally going to get it done.
And the new bridge has actually finally received funding. And while some say it's long overdue, many are concerned about the design of the new bridge. And some are looking at the data and questioning if it's even going to help with traffic or if it'll end up causing more harm than good. This bridge is sort of a local villain in the region. Whether it's because of the slow-moving rush hour traffic, the 4 lanes they squeezed in a space originally made for 3, or because they heard a rumor it's going to crash into the river any day now, people hate this bridge. Which, to clarify, the state has said is perfectly safe structurally. The bridge is a pinch point at which 2 interstates, I-71 and I-75, combine across the Ohio River and continue through northern Kentucky. This can cause delays, particularly during rush hour. Not only does this delay commuters, but it also delays the tons of freight traffic that crosses the bridge. When the bridge was built in 1963, it was designed to carry 80,000 cars a day. But as traffic volumes increased past that point, they ended up removing the emergency shoulders and restriped the road from the original 3 12-foot lanes to 4 11-foot lanes. This makes for an uncomfortable driving experience for a lot of people, especially on the lower deck of the bridge where it feels even more closed in. By the 1990s, it was deemed functionally obsolete, meaning it isn't functioning up to today's standards. And ever since, it's been a topic of discussion as to what to do about it. The simple answer might seem like just build a new, bigger bridge, and for the most part, that's been the plan. But there are other challenges that come with doing so, some of which go way back to before there was any bridge here. This is the highway interchange that leads into the bridge in Cincinnati, and while it might look like it's just outside of downtown Cincinnati, this spot actually used to be part of Cincinnati's urban core. This area called the West End was home to over 67,000 people and made up an extensive part of the grid network of Cincinnati. But when Interstate 75 was built, it destroyed a huge part of the predominantly black neighborhood, displacing thousands of people and created a physical disconnect within the city. Almost everything west of the interstate became an industrial and manufacturing district called Queensgate, and the urban core of Cincinnati shrank significantly. Then, as manufacturing in the US began to decline, so did this part of Cincinnati, leaving us today with a huge underutilized part of the city right next to downtown, and a once-in-a-generation construction project to rebuild a huge piece of infrastructure that runs right down the middle of this divide. This presents a huge opportunity to do something transformative that will reconnect Cincinnati and fix the mistakes of the past. As part of the bridge project, the highway leading up to it and this massive interchange need to be reconfigured to accommodate the new bridge. But when the state released the initial design for it, many people were incredibly disappointed. It did essentially nothing to reconnect the city, and instead just added more highway capacity. This is when a group called Bridge Forward began advocating for something to change. Instead of just building a larger highway, they wanted to use this opportunity to reconnect the city and minimize the footprint of the highway. And it turns out, Cincinnati already knows how to do this. The other interstate that feeds into the bridge, Interstate 71, runs right through downtown, and it used to cut the entire downtown off from the river. But in 2000, it was transformed to have its footprint minimized, run through a trench, and completely reconnect the street grid, opening up access to the riverfront from downtown rather than blocking it off by a highway. From the street, you hardly notice that the highway is even there because it's all below grade and the street grid is completely uninterrupted. As a result, the entire riverfront area has become revitalized and is now full of housing, businesses, and parks. And this is what Bridge Forward has been fighting for with the other side of downtown. But it's been an uphill battle. The thing is, this project's main goal is to increase highway capacity. This starts with the star of the project, the new bridge itself. Right now, the plan calls for a new 10-lane double-deck bridge, with 5 lanes in each direction on each deck, 3 for the I-75 traffic and 2 for the I-71 traffic. Along with this, that interstate traffic will be isolated as it comes through downtown Cincinnati, meaning there won't be any entrances or exits directly on the interstate. Instead, there will be a separate set of roads called a collector-distributor system that contains all of the ramps that collect exiting and entering traffic and distribute them to their desired path. This system of roads will then utilize the existing Brent Spence Bridge to cross the river, which will be modified back into the original 3-lane setup. All of the traffic from the collector-distributor system will eventually merge back into the main interstate traffic. The biggest difference with this new design is that it gives all of the through traffic its own dedicated bridge and isolates them from all local entering and exiting traffic as they cross the river. But of course, this all takes up space. The design has managed to both add this additional capacity and shrink the footprint from how it exists right now, but it is still a large highway interchange. And this is fundamentally at odds with a goal of having a cohesive, connected street grid. However, there have been some compromises made, and some of the street grid in Cincinnati is being reconnected, thanks to the advocacy by Bridge Forward. Right now, this is the plan for reconnecting the grid across the interchange. When compared to the original design, this is definitely an improvement, but there are still some additional changes that could improve connectivity even more. There's also still progress to be made for pedestrian and cycling infrastructure, as the existing renderings don't show any dedicated cycling infrastructure and instead show cyclists just using the sidewalks. Many of these new streets will be fairly wide, meaning there's space available to consider adding things like protected bike lanes. One street that crosses I-75 north of the interchange has been modified to be wide enough to accommodate buildings, giving it the feeling that you aren't even crossing an interstate. And the smaller footprint of the interchange compared to how it exists right now frees up space for additional development. Changes like these are good, and they wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for advocacy. This project originally started as a status quo highway expansion project, but the power of advocacy has pushed politicians to ask, can we do something that works better for our city? Even the governor of Ohio has said to focus on local opinions for this project, and when those in power are willing to listen, it can lead to changes that are good. But there's still a push to get this project done as soon as possible, especially since this bridge has been such a long-standing political issue. The whole project is estimated to cost $3.6 billion and has already received a $1.6 billion federal grant from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. With any kind of significant legislation like this, it's important to remember that news outlets from across the political spectrum often present information through a certain lens and bias. Luckily, there's a solution that I use to be a more informed reader. It's the sponsor of this video, Ground News. Ground News is a website and app that can help you cut through the confusing world of algorithms, echo chambers, and hard to verify information. They gather news from over 50,000 sources around the world, allowing you to see how the same story is reported at different outlets, along with details into a source's political bias, factuality, and ownership. You can see for yourself by visiting ground.news/streetcraft. Let me show you how it works. Recently, the Biden administration announced $5 billion for dozens of aging bridges in 16 states. The story was covered by 46 news sources. 62% of the coverage is from the center, while 23% leans left, and 15% leans right. 89% of the sources reporting are highly factual, and the majority of the coverage is from media conglomerates. You can also compare all of the articles and headlines to see how the coverage varies. Sources from the left emphasize the billions of dollars needed for bridge repairs, focusing on the scale and urgency, while the right highlights the Columbia River Bridge. I believe in Ground News because it helps me stay better informed about what's happening in the world. It's given me a way to practice critical thinking and understand different viewpoints, helping to create fair and factual content. Visit ground.news/streetcraft or click the link in the description to get 40% off the Vantage plan, the same plan that I use to get unlimited access to all features. Subscribe today to support this channel and an independent platform on a mission to bring facts back to the news. It's encouraging when advocacy groups are actually able to make changes, and the changes in the design for the project so far are definitely an improvement from what the design started as. But for some, the design still has a long way to go. While there is some opportunity to free up land and increase connectivity on the Ohio side of the bridge, on the other side in Kentucky, the situation is a little different. On this side, there was no massive interchange to begin with, so all of this new expansion is going to take up additional space in the city of Covington, demolishing homes and businesses in the process, causing some concerns about the fact that this project is even happening at all. After all, it's going to lead to nearly a decade of putting up with construction, with noise, dust, and vibrations, increase long-term air and noise pollution with more traffic running through the city, and create an even larger physical divide between neighborhoods, all to hopefully reduce delays, and that isn't even a guarantee. The interstate highway system in the Cincinnati region looks something like this, with two major interstates that run through the entire region, I-75 and I-71, along with a bypass loop, I-275, a short connector, I-471, and I-74, which ends in Cincinnati feeding into I-75. As a result, this system is able to self-regulate with multiple options for traffic to pass through. This region has already been adapting to the current Brent Spence Bridge situation for decades, and traffic isn't getting any worse on the bridge either. Looking at the traffic count data over the past several years, it's stayed fairly consistent. Delays aren't constant either. For a lot of the day, the bridge flows just fine. This means people are taking other routes or traveling at other times to avoid slowdowns on the bridge, and there's no promise they're going to keep avoiding it when this new bridge is built. meaning that after nearly a decade of construction, it could begin to fill up again by drawing in more traffic. This is even something a former Brent Spence project manager at the Ohio Department of Transportation acknowledges, and it's something that happens all the time with highway widening. The Katy Freeway in Houston, Texas was expanded to 26 lanes at its widest, with frontage roads and express lanes. But only a few years after construction was complete, the road was filled with more traffic than it could handle, and rush hour delays once again increased. But the new bridge isn't just aiming to reduce delays. It's also hoping to improve safety. The entire bridge corridor is a dangerous spot for crashes, and the project aims to add emergency shoulders where there aren't any, reduce weaving maneuvers, and improve curve geometry. However, some changes are already happening to the existing bridge and are creating safety improvements with minor modifications. Previously, this entrance ramp entered directly onto the bridge, creating its own lane that turned into an exit at the end of the bridge. But if that traffic didn't need that exit, they'd have to merge over sometimes several lanes before the end of the bridge to get to their correct exit. And traffic already on the highway needing that exit needed to weave between that traffic. So instead, the city had the idea to close this ramp and create this turnaround at the next entrance down. So now all traffic entering the highway follows this route, and it gives everyone more time to be in the appropriate lane before they get on the bridge. This has reduced crashes on the existing bridge by 42%, and it only cost $9 million. This is only 0.2% of the $3.6 billion cost for the new bridge project, showing that even small modifications to existing infrastructure can create significant changes. Design can have a crucial part in road safety, and the safety improvements on the new bridge are likely to help with preventing a crash. But that doesn't always mean more safety. Crashes are obviously a bad thing regardless, but the speed at which a crash happens is also really important. A crash in 2 lanes of slow-moving traffic flowing into the existing bridge is unlikely to cause any serious injuries, but that could be a different story with 5 lanes of high-speed traffic on the new bridge. Over the next decade, this bridge will be a great example to look at when it comes to huge infrastructure projects like this. Will it actually end up alleviating traffic delays and improve safety? Will it end up bringing in more traffic than what it started with? Will this community find the project worth the years-long construction process and the money spent? Will the city be able to reconnect and fix the mistakes of the past? And most importantly, was this the best long-term solution for this region? Well, probably not. At best, this project may end up reducing traffic delays and allow the city to grow with the parts of the street grid they're reconnecting. And these would both be good outcomes that are improvements over the current situation. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily the best solution. When this project is done, this area will still have to deal with the air and noise pollution that comes with highway expansion. There will still be crashes, and there will still be an even larger highway running through downtown Cincinnati and Covington, incentivizing more traffic to take that route. This project's goal is to solve the problem of too many vehicles on the road, but it's only addressing the road part by building more road capacity. But there's also the vehicle part of this problem. With the $3.6 billion being spent on this project, there are tons of other things you could do to create more options for people to get around the region and would reduce the number of cars that need to take the bridge in the first place. For example, Cincinnati has a small but successful streetcar network that could be expanded across the river and further into Cincinnati. Or hundreds of miles of protected bike lanes and better sidewalks could be installed. Or a rail connection to the region's airport could be built. All of which would reduce local trips taken by car and help get vehicles off the bridge, reducing delays without having to expand the highways. And in the process, it would actually create safer ways to get around and forever transform what getting around this region could look like. Someone flying into Cincinnati could take a train from the airport, go to a sporting event downtown, take the streetcar to visit friends at the university, and feel safe biking to a restaurant for dinner, all without having to add a single vehicle to the road. But this $3.6 billion isn't for a streetcar network or airport rail. In fact, it's not even for transportation around Cincinnati. At its core, this is a large federally funded project to reduce delays on the interstate system, and this part of the interstate just happens to go through Cincinnati. But that doesn't mean they can't take advantage of the opportunities to improve from the current situation, because improvements are always a good thing, and it's important to advocate for the best version you can get. This project is still in the design process and changes are still being made. Bridge Forward is still advocating for changes to create better connections to the street grid and reduce the footprint of the highway even more. And the Coalition for Transit and Sustainable Development continues to raise awareness of major issues with this project and advocate for alternative options. You can help both groups advocate by filling out a pre-written letter on their websites and share your concerns with local leaders. And if you want to help support Streetcraft, we've got merch available down below. There's tons of designs about walkability, roads, and creating better places. We've also got a Patreon with exclusive content, and your support there helps the channel make more videos like this. And if you missed the last video, it dives into a really exciting project going on right next to this new bridge. Find out what the city of Covington is doing with this huge empty plot of land next.